Hey guys, Indiana Jones, the hero of our childhood, returned to cinema screens last weekend to some truly catastrophic box office results. Mass audiences worldwide appear to have rejected the new Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny movie out of lack of interest, possibly, and with a total estimated budget in excess of 400 million, inclusive of marketing. This looks to be one of the biggest money-losing flops of all time. Why? How could this have happened? Guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Escapades channel in Malaysia. In my last video, I talked about my time as a Disney Film Studios employee during the takeover of Lucasfilm in 2012 and my anticipation since then until today, over a decade of waiting to finally get a brand new Indiana Jones movie that was being backed by a studio with seemingly unlimited funds. What I didn't expect was for the final product to be some total, absolute bullshit. Guys, if you enjoy content like this and coverage of retro pop culture collectibles and movies, do consider subscribing to the channel, sharing the videos out, liking and commenting, supporting me on Patreon, all of that incredible stuff. Thank you for your support. I think that the biggest crime of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, aka the DRECK of dreariness, is not just that it's a total bore fest, but that it forgets to be funny. There is not one single moment of humor, either intentional or unintended. Now, I watched it on opening day in a semi-packed hall and nobody in the audience laughed at any one single scene. Okay, back in the day, we used to get laugh out loud humor, okay, popcorn and soda flying out of the audience's mouth, all right? Nothing like that here, player. Now, that to me is just an alien experience for an indie movie. Not even a chuckle or a snigger, nothing. Okay, you guys that watched it in the cinema, let me know in the comments if anybody in the hall laughed at any point. Now, the movie starts off with a mini-movie kind of prologue action scene with a younger CGI de-aged Indy fighting Nazis back in the day. Now, I've seen comments where quite a number of people seem to have an issue with this part of the movie. Well, believe me, although it fails to capture the magic of the Indy that we remember, it's still the best part of the movie. In fact, rather than this bloated theatrical mess, I would rather just have a TV series on Disney Plus with a full season of 30-minute episodes featuring the exploits of young CGI Indy as narrated by old man Dr. Jones. Okay, how does that sound? Once the movie gets back to its current time of the late to early 70s and we see old man Indy, that's when it starts to fall apart. Forget exotic locations of adventure, you get dry and dusty building blocks and dull city streets. Harrison Ford is still the star that he is, and you do feel that he does put a lot of effort into the character, especially at his age, but he really doesn't look like he's having fun, and as a result, neither will you. The movie also sidetracks you aimlessly into an entire cast of idiotically written characters. So many of them, in fact, that Indy no longer seems like the focal point of the movie. Everybody's hunting for the missing piece of the Dial of Destiny, a powerful relic with possible time travel ability. But the whole quest is conveyed to the audience with zero excitement and thrills. And you just go, they're looking for this thing? So what? As I mentioned, the cast is ludicrous. You get these two female actors, one with a big afro and one with a big mouth. Okay, their mere presence on screen will annoy the shit out of you. Okay, I watched this with a female friend and even she told me that these two ladies were just fucking annoying. The character of Helena Shaw as Indy's goddaughter has possibly as much, if not more, screen time as Indy. She is confident, loud, smart, blah blah, but it's so unlikable that every time she's on screen, she does something and you're like, what? So what? Okay, that's basically the summary for the whole movie. So what? Okay, even her action figure looks annoying. Now, this character of Teddy is quite similarly supposed to be like the sidekick for this whole adventure, and he seems to be built up like the Short Round for the movie with a similar backstory, I guess. Now get the hell out of here. Short Round is probably in the top 5 of cinema's greatest screen sidekicks. Teddy, on the other hand, is written with no personality and zero one-liners. Now, Mads Mikkelsen plays the Nazi bad guy Jürgen Wohler. He has absolutely no aura of danger around him. This guy looks like a parishioner who attends mass at your church on Sunday morning. Now, what happened to the grand tradition of intimidating bad guys in indie movies? Okay, like the German mechanic. Belloc, Molaram, and the Thuggy Chief Guard, Colonel Vogel, Dovchenko. Hell, even Donovan was scarier than this guy. Jurgen Waller looks like he could probably only intimidate senior citizens at an old folks' home. Antonio Banderas plays this character called Ronaldo. Before I saw him in the movie, I saw his rather pointless looking action figure that Hasbro revealed as part of their Wave 3 Adventure Series set. The figure is an absolute bullshit inclusion as part of this build and artifact wave that requires you to buy it if you wish to complete this rather cool looking Grail table setup. The figure is nonsense, okay? The character in the movie is equally meandering and has no real impact to the story whatsoever. No way is the action figure for this guy justified. And anyway, they could have gotten anyone to play the role. Why did it have to be Puss in Boots? Now, there's not one single memorable action sequence in the entire movie. There's no stakes, no real threat. There is one scene in particular where a bad guy is shooting at Indy, has him clear in his sights, misses every time. Indy boards the speeding boat with the bad guy still firing away. Indy doesn't even duck. At one point, he just turns his head away to look straight at the camera and he's no longer even looking at the bullets flying just behind him. You're watching this and you just go, what? Now, of course, these are my own personal views, and many of you out there do like the movie, I'm sure, and it's perfectly fine that you do, and you can share any viewpoint here, and you're absolutely welcome to do so. I will say, however, that the movie has made me realize that the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull really wasn't all that bad by comparison. At the very least, it had Steven Spielberg at the helm, ensuring that some of that classic indie vibe was still left intact. Now, you know that scene in Crystal Skull where Dovchenko gets eaten alive by army ants? That right there is a classic styled indie movie moment. Of course, and I don't think that this is a spoiler by now because it's all over the internet, all right? Now, there is the use of time travel in this movie. And oh, by the way, if you didn't know about it, hey, look, why didn't you just watch the movie on opening weekend? Aren't you an indie fan? Look at the pathetic opening grosses. Okay, they sure could have used your help. Now, anyway, some comments I saw online seem to say that time travel in here was just pushing it. Look, India has been pushing the boundaries of what's real since day one, okay? We've had ghostly spirits racing through the air, hearts bursting into supernatural flames, some guy turning into a zombie for drinking from the wrong cup, aliens from outer space. Yeah, so really, time travel isn't really such a stretch for the franchise. However, instead of taking the opportunity to use the time travel scenario to give us a truly spectacular, visually wondrous finale to finally round up the entire Indiana Jones saga with style, okay, instead of that, they gave us one of the blandest, most utterly tasteless, salt-free, I mean, something like the lowest cholesterol diet you can think of. Basically, something that was just devoid of any kind of flavor. I still can't believe it, man, that this is how the whole thing ends. I mean, guys, it took them like something like 300 million to put this whole movie together. Couldn't they have set aside maybe 100 million to give us a finale that was like going to make cinematic history? Okay, something that nobody has ever seen before. That's what I expected, okay, for something like this, from a production that cost this much, for the ending to a saga, one of the greatest action adventure sagas of all time. But this is how it went out, man. It just went out like some total freaking bullshit.